And I know you guys are like going to be upset, you don't know what's happening, but this is actually something really, really personal.
There's so much more to it that I can't explain. I don't know if I would actually get in trouble for talking about it. It is now 2026, and let's talk about it. But first, we gotta hit rewind. This is going to be a really long story. All those past videos that I have filmed talking about every situation that was going on, I wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell everybody. I couldn't at the time because due to safety reasons. Then we didn't know what was going to happen. But now it's 2026 and I can now talk about it. What happened was my grandma met this guy named Roger in 2018. Before she met Roger, she was my grandma. She was a very big Christian lady. She didn't like to cuss, she didn't drink alcohol, she never did any drugs. Like, she even thought the word fart was a cuss word. And if we lied, she would make us write things out of the Bible like 100 times. Like, she was that type of lady. But she was still a fun grandma. She, she wanted to go out, do things, have fun, go out to eat, go to random places like pet stores, and go to these houses that you can walk through and look at things just to get ideas, just for fun. Like, she was that grandma. And I seen my grandma as more as my own mom than I do my own mom. My grandma was the person that I would go to if I needed something. But all of that changed when she met him.
It tastes funny.
I just take bite out of what she said.
It even smells funny.
Wait till June. I'm gonna do sweet now, but she won't get that reaction.
No, what the heck?
No, that was funny.
Girl, I'm way crazy.
That could have been your clickbait too.
So when my grandma first met Roger, she had the apartment, he had this house. And they started talking, like, as friends at first. And my grandma would talk about him, tell us about him. And at that time, I didn't know him. I just knew his name was Roger, and he lived across the street. And then one day, my grandma had me come over. It was me, my girlfriend, and our friend Gabrielle. We all went over to meet him, and I actually have a small clip of when I first met him. I stopped recording as soon as I came into the house because he didn't like to be on camera. He didn't want his picture taken.
This is my grandma's friend that she's been hanging out with.
He didn't want his picture taken, at least what he told my grandma. He was wanted by some people and they were looking for him. I thought it was just weird. I thought maybe he was wanted from the police, or maybe he stole money from someone and they were looking for him. At this time, my girlfriend's mom ended up coming over with us as well, and she snapped a picture of him, and he raised his voice and says, "Don't take pictures of me, don't, make sure you delete that." My girlfriend's mom kind of got upset because the way he talked to her about it. Like, he didn't talk, he just demanded it, and he had that mean voice. So she ended up leaving out of the house and went back to our apartment. And after everybody left, my grandma came over and she told us to make sure that we deleted that picture because Roger didn't want any pictures of him. He doesn't want it posted online because there's people that's out looking for him that's going to try to kill him. And we never deleted the picture. At least I don't think Kathy ever deleted it, which Kathy is Jen's mom. She might still have the picture, but I'm not for sure. He didn't want his picture taken, and which I understand a lot of people don't like getting their picture took, but the way he was stating that it was wrong for people to take picture of him because he was wanted by people. Maybe, you know, it's normal, people don't want their picture taken, maybe he's wanted by the police, who knows? Nobody knows what's going on. After the first day that I met him, when I walked through the door, he was already yelling and raising his voice. But after I turned off my camera, we went into his house. I notice everything. I pay attention to my surroundings, especially when I'm going into somewhere I don't know. I pay attention. Well, I did notice that he had a picture of Hitler on his wall. Just like a frame like this of Hitler in a picture frame hanging up on his wall. That was a red flag to me, which I really thought it was weird, but I try not to judge, but, you know, how can I not judge with having a picture of Hitler on your wall? We left, went back home. The next day, I went back over there with my grandma, and at this time, my girlfriend and our friend Gabrielle worked, so they went to work. I was home alone, so I went to go hang out with my grandma, as I normally do. So we went over to her friend's house, Roger's. I don't remember exactly what she was doing. I know she was in the bedroom. I think she was helping him with putting a bed together. I'm not for sure. I don't really remember all of that. I do remember I went to the bathroom, and as a habit, when I go to a bathroom, even in my own home, I always lock the door. That was just something I always done. I'm pretty sure everybody else does it. So when I went into the bathroom, closed the door, locked the door. And usually you can hear when somebody locks the door because the knob. I come out of the bathroom and he's griping at my grandma because I went into the bathroom and I locked the door. And he said that me locking the bathroom door makes him feel like I don't trust him. Which I knew it was a red flag, but I didn't really think much about it. I just kept thinking of, you know, there's reasons. Maybe there's a reason why. Like, maybe I did make him feel like I don't feel safe with him. So, I don't know. I was kind of just trying to think of reasons why he would think that. But to add in, this was before my transition. I was going as female at the time. The red flags that I noticed in the beginning. And after I met him, it was maybe a couple months later, my grandma ended up moving in with him. She left her apartment, moved in with him. But she wasn't allowed to take her things. She was allowed to take her clothes and a little bit of stuff, but she wasn't allowed to have all her stuff. So he made her put it all into this outbuilding that was outside his house. He was renting this house. My grandma had a cat named Prissy.
No, you look pretty. Prissy. No. You're so cute, Prissy. You're just so cute. No, you look... Oh, you're gonna bite me? Oh, you're gonna bite me? Look at that belly. Look at that belly.
She had a bird named Petey.
It's Petey. Hi, Petey. Hi, pretty bird.
And a sugar glider named Pepper.
No, you ain't getting in your cage. Look how fat you are. Yeah, you're so fat.
What? Tinkerbot. Oh, Mommy's Tinkerbot. Yeah.
She's had the cat Prissy since I was 11 years old. And she's had Petey since I was 3 years old. Like, Petey was a really old bird. But he was a really good bird. He was still, active and happy and everything. Once she moved in there, he made her get rid of Petey. He made her get rid of Pepper, which Pepper came to me and Petey went to my mom. He didn't like cats, so he made my grandma keep Prissy outside, which was okay at the time because Prissy was an in and outside cat. He would come in and then he would go out. But at this time, he wasn't allowed to come in at all, so he had to stay outside. He stayed around, like, she continued to keep Prissy, and I think Prissy stayed in the outbuilding at nighttime, but she would make sure to feed him. My mom took Petey. Petey didn't last maybe a month, and he ended up passing away. Pepper I had her for a couple months, maybe 5 months. She ended up passing away as well because I think they both passed away from a broken heart because they were so used to being around my grandma. I was 3 years old and she had PD. So imagine I am now 33 years old and this was in 2018, so I think I was 24, around 23, 24, around that age. I really don't know. I don't really know how to do math really well. So it's been a really long time that she's had PD. And you can't just take an animal away from a person that's been with that person for so long. They're going to end up dying from a broken heart. People die from a broken heart all the time because their husband or wife passed away. It's crazy because I'm like shaking from talking about this. Like, it's just, I think it's nerves because I've waited so long to talk about this that it's a lot, and I can finally get it off my chest. When my grandma fully moved into Roger's house with him, I recently found out because my grandma told me that he just recently got out of prison. Another red flag. Well, why did he just get out of prison? Roger Burris got arrested for selling drugs to an undercover police officer and tried to hire the officer to do a kidnapping for him in West Virginia. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. He got sent to prison on October 16, 1999. He was due to do 15 years in prison. He got released on parole in 2003 and broke parole and was sent back to prison in 2005 and was to be released January 19th, 2018. We would be going over to my grandma's with my girlfriend and her friend Gabrielle and try to spend some time with her. Plus, she always enjoyed that we come over and made her laugh and everything. At this time, we did know she was going through some things with Roger, but we didn't know the full story. Because we know it's normal for people to argue, so we assumed that, they were arguing. There is a couple times that there was things happening before she moved in fully with him. At this time, she did have her car when she was living in her apartment, so before she fully moved in with him, she had her car, she still had her job and everything, so I did have a little bit of the times of it mixed up, but it's okay. All of this is really traumatizing, it's very stressful, so I might get some of the times mixed up and everything, but once she did move in with him fully is when everything started to go downhill. I think where I'm having a lot of anxiety, it's just all of it rethinking throughout my head. There's a lot that's becoming jumbled up. Eventually all of it will be all told. I have the date of the last day that I actually got to spend time with my grandma before Roger ruined her and her whole life. That was the day before my birthday, June 11th. It was a day before my birthday, June 10th, 2018. Was the last day that I got to spend time with my grandma, the grandma that I knew before she is the person today. And I never knew that a person can ruin someone so badly. I do know that somebody can do that because I have gone through this whole issue with myself and another ex-partner in my life. June 10th, 2018 was the last day I got to spend time with my real grandma, the person I knew before a man ruined her whole life. And once she actually moved in with him, we started to less have communication with my grandma, we less got to see her. There was a time that I was out exploring with my friend Jamie, which I am no longer associated with this person.
Your mom just asked if I'm with you.
Her, yeah. Why? She's probably telling me about my grandma or something.
She needs you now.
Tell her that we're in Ona. We don't have a car to get anywhere. But
we are going to the law ASAP.
why? Tell her she's gonna have to call the police.
Hey, you know we need to go there at the police station.
Does she want to pick me up? Because we're in Ona. There's something going on. My mom, as I told you guys, with my grandma and everything, there's stuff going on. And I want to tell you guys, but I don't know what's going on. So we're going to have to head back. What'd she say?
I got food to take home first. Guess tomorrow we'll go.
So tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that my mom is we're gonna do it tomorrow. But there's just something going on with my grandma. It's so much to explain that I would have to really sit down and tell you guys about it.
My mom wanted to call the police and have a, what do you call them? I can't think of it right now, but it's where they go have the police check on them to see if they're okay. My mom wanted to do that because we haven't heard from my grandma for so long. It's been, I think at this time it was a month that we haven't heard or seen my grandma. We lived right across from her at this time, and we never got to see my grandma. We would go knock on the door. You could see people looking out the window through the blinds and everything, but nobody would ever answer the door. Nobody would answer her phone, nothing. And plus, she stopped going to work. She quit her job, so we couldn't go to her job to see if she was okay. So my mom really wanted to call the police, get a checkup, and I don't remember if we ever did. I think we did, but my grandma said she was fine. She answered her door to the police, and she still wouldn't contact us to talk to us. So I don't remember much about that because I think that I was so upset about it. I blocked a lot of that out because I was really hurt because I was used to talking to my grandma every single day. I was always used to spending time with her, taking walks with her, doing this and that. I seen her as my mom more than a grandma. I think I kind of blocked all of that out, and I think the police told her to get a hold of us or her family, and I don't think she ever reached out. It just kept going on and on and on. We moved, and we ended up moving to Altizer. So I was no longer living across from my grandma at this time. A whole year went by that we didn't get to talk to my grandma. And every now and then my grandma would call my mom, but she would be sounding not like herself. Like she sounded like she was on drugs or drunk or something. But she was mean. She called my mom and said that she no longer has a daughter anymore and that she's no longer her mother. It was really bad. And I think that's the reason why my mom wanted to keep having checkups on her, because it was just, she just wasn't being her. We honestly felt like that she was being manipulated and he was keeping her from talking to her family because he made her get rid of everything else. The only thing that she had left in her life was her family. He got rid of that. He made her hate us for a whole year. And we think that he was actually giving her drugs or making her do drugs, or she was doing drugs. There was just no answer to it. We didn't want to believe that it was drugs because, you know, my grandma never did drugs. She never drank alcohol. So what is really going on?
I am planning on to try to start back on daily vlogging. I think it would help me get out of this whatever I'm in. I've just been depressed, angry, confused here lately, and I haven't talked to my grandma. I was supposed to go see my grandma ever since like everything's happened between her and her ex-boyfriend, whatever. I haven't seen her then. Even that whole situation, I was supposed to sit down and tell you guys about it, but I don't think right now is the right time either because it's still going on. Whatever, like this situation with my grandma is still going on. So I don't know what to tell you guys. Like I would tell you the whole story. Everything's just so confusing. She was trying to get away from her boyfriend and she got away from him for a while, but now I've heard that she's going back. So I'm not gonna like put all that information out right now because I don't even know what's going on.
This was before we moved out from Milton. My grandma was currently living with Roger in his house. Roger would bring other women into the house while my grandma was there and have sex with them. He would beat the women, he would bring them in, have sex with them. At first, my grandma wouldn't tell us what was really going on. She would kind of take up for him and found out that he told my grandma that the lady that he brought in was this Mexican lady. I'm saying Mexican lady because there is a reason why. He told my grandma that it was his cousin. His cousin was coming in to stay with him because she had no place to stay. My grandma believed that that was his cousin, but she also caught them sitting on the couch together, doing sexual things together. My grandma still believed that was his cousin. I don't know how my grandma was blind by all of this. I honestly feel like she was trauma bonded at this time. Trauma bonding is an intense, unhealthy emotional attachment that develops between a victim and their abuser, often caused by the cycle of abuse and manipulation. It creates a powerful, addictive bond, making it difficult to leave due to fear. I don't know. I really don't know if she was trauma bonded with him, or she just didn't want to be alone at the time, or she just didn't want to believe what was happening in front of her eyes. We found out that this lady was not his cousin. We all know it wasn't his cousin, except for my grandma. She didn't want to believe that he was actually bringing other women and claiming that they are family and having sex with them. But the police did get called a lot when this lady was living with them. Roger would beat this lady, locked her outside the house. The lady even shaved her own head because Roger would grab her hair, pulling her around. They actually did both get arrested.
2 arrested following reported domestic incident in Milton, West Virginia. Milton, 2 people were arrested Sunday evening after police officers in Milton responded to a reported domestic incident. According to a release from the Milton Police Department, an officer responded to a domestic violence call at Summers Addition. Upon arriving, the officer found 2 people identified as Crystal Lewis, 38, and Roger Burris, 60, both of Milton. The officer observed Lewis punching Burris, according to the release. After officers separated the two, he took Lewis' wrist to take her into custody. At that time, according to police, she punched the officer in the face and ran. The officer pursued her on foot, subdued her and took her into custody. Police said another officer responded to the scene and took Burris into custody. He was charged with domestic battery. Lewis was charged with domestic battery, battery on a police officer, fleeing on foot, public intoxication and disorderly conduct. Bail for Burris was set at $5,000, and bail for Lewis was set at $16,100. Police said both were jailed in lieu of posting bond.
My grandma would tell us that they would fight. I'm like, if he's treating this lady like this, then more likely he's treating my grandma like that. And my grandma would never admit to it. We knew there was some things going on, but she kept taking up for him. But he was bringing other women in, cheating on my grandma. On May 3rd, 2020, Roger posted this profile picture on Facebook. It looks innocent, right? Well, until we look at the corner. It says Christian Filipina. It's a dating site that he is on. The date he posted this, he was currently with my grandma, and she was living with him. Once they moved in together, they did become a couple. He was still continuously, even though he was dating my grandma, he would bring other women in and do whatever he wanted with them.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm 31. Yeah, I know Roger.
When did you first meet Roger?
I would not be good at a Netflix documentary. Did no one ever nominate me for a Netflix documentary? I met Roger when I think you met Roger. I think it was maybe the day after. I think your grandma had met him first. Then it was just downhill from there.
What was it like meeting him?
Weird. At first I was like, okay, maybe he's not such a bad guy, but I always had that like gut feeling. And it was like, he made jokes. Like, it was an inside joke that Gabrielle and me and Grams had. And it was kind of weird how he just met us and kind of got in on the inside joke. And it was like he was calling Gabrielle's private area princess. It was very disturbing, very weird. I think that's where my gut feeling sat a lot of the times. Just being weird.
What did he do to make you dislike him?
Breathe. I don't know if you want to keep that in there.
I mean, it's your real opinion, so.
Well, breathe. The inside joke, I think, is what started it. I think we had a skeleton on the back of the car at one point, and it disappeared. My skeleton ended up disappearing, and I think it was either on this bush that he had outside of his house. It was weird that he had, like, crossed that boundary into, like, fathering my items on my personal car. It was disrespectful and kind of rude, and kind of just made me feel uneasy. And then I seen what he was doing to Grams, and then me and Grams had an argument because of the fact that she was a little bit intoxicated one night because of him, and she told me that I would never be part of the family and wasn't part of the family. And I think we were together like 6 years, 7 years at this point. I don't know. We were together for a while, and it just kind of, it made me and her, our relationship kind of crumble to a little bit. We got back to where, you know, we were better, but at the same time, because of him, a lot of things were ruined.
But is there anything else you want to add?
I hope you rot in hell, you bastard.
Even though I noticed all the red flags about Roger, I kind of, looked past it, but I still had those in the back of my head. There was one time before we ended up moving away from Milton, my grandma was currently living in the house with Roger. I don't know exactly what was going on. I don't know if me and Jen was having some issues. I had to get away for a couple of days, so I went to go stay the night with my grandma. My grandma had to get up early in the mornings to go to work. At this time, when she first moved in to his house, she was still working at the time. I know I probably got a lot of the times mixed up because there's just so much that has happened that it's hard to keep up with the exact times, the exact order. This happened when my grandma first moved in with Roger. I went to go stay the night with him. My grandma had to go to work, so she got up early and she went off to work. I was sleeping in the bedroom with her, but I was in the floor. She slept on the bed. They had separate rooms. They didn't sleep in the same bed. In a way, I thought was weird because, if you're a couple, then, usually couples sleep in the same bed. But I do know that some people are couples and they don't sleep in the same bed. And I've recently learned that. I did have a bad feeling about Roger, but I thought maybe it was just my mind because I have had bad experiences with men in the past when I was a child and 11 years old. I guess my mind had that trust issues with men. My grandma left. He stayed in the living room. The door was cracked open. He only came in there one time to ask me if I was okay, if I needed more blankets and stuff like that. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And he was like, since your grandma's not here, you can always jump up on her bed. I was like, no, I'm okay. Because I just, for some reason, felt better sleeping in the floor. After that, I was like, okay, maybe he's not a bad person. Maybe it is just my mind playing, tricks on me and not to trust him. Because if he was going to do something, wouldn't he done something then? But as the times went on, and I did move away, we moved into Altizer. We didn't get to really talk to my grandma a lot. There was a long time that she went without talking to us multiple times. And the times that she did actually start talking to us, she did try to get away from Roger. She actually moved out of there and got her own little apartment. This was before they ended up buying the whole new house that she's currently living in. She got her own little apartment and she was trying to get away from Roger. And when we went over there, we went up to Milton, stayed the night with her, helping her move and getting situated and all of that. And she ended up telling us that she wanted to leave because Roger was having random men and women come in, making her have sex with them. So multiple men coming in, and he would make them have sex with my grandma. He would even make my grandma have sex with women. This is why my grandma ended up having problems with her eyes. He ended up giving her syphilis, which is, I believe, a type of STD. We don't know exactly if he's the one who gave it to her or if it was one of the random men that he was making her have sex with. She ended up getting syphilis. The syphilis was so bad because she went so long with it being untreated because she had no idea that she had it until she started feeling sick. She went to the doctor, got her blood took, found out she had that. The syphilis ended up getting so bad because it was untreated that it started getting into her eyes, and it can cause you to have eye damage. It started making her eyes end up having cataracts. So she was slowly going blind in her eyes. She had to go get eye surgery, which that is why for the past couple months we're always asking her, how is her eyes? Is her eyes getting better? This and that, which they are getting a lot better. Plus her eyes was also going bad. She had glasses. She needed to wear glasses. And if you go so long without wearing your glasses, your eyes are just going to get worse. Her not having her glasses because he took them from her, and then along on top of that having syphilis, it didn't really help the situation. Another red flag that I've noticed about Roger, my sister Kaylee. She was 11 years old at this time. He randomly went and bought her a dress. We don't know why he bought her a dress. And then when he got his motorcycle, he wanted my sister Kaylee to take a motorcycle ride with him. And I'm glad that my sister said no. My sister did say no. It was really weird that he wanted my 11-year-old sister to go on a motorcycle ride with him and buying her randomly a dress. It was just random. Like, there was no reason why he needed to buy my sister a dress. It came along 2019. They end up buying the new house that my grandma is currently living in. This part's gonna be really hard for me to talk about. I've talked about it once in therapy, but... So when they moved into their new house in 2019, they were there for maybe 2 years. My grandma was still on and off of talking to us. There was times that she did want to talk to us, there was times that she didn't, so it was constant. 2021 came around, my grandma started talking to us, and she told me that she wanted me to come over and spend some time with her because she hasn't seen us for a while. I end up going over to my grandma's, spending time with her. I spent the night. It was my first time spending the night with my grandma. The very first night. And my grandma showed me the bedrooms. There was her bedroom, then Roger's bedroom, and then there was going to be the bedroom for people who come over, stay the night with them. It was my very first night staying the night with them. And at this time, I was sleeping in the floor because my grandma didn't have a bed. My grandma had a bed, but she didn't have it put together, so I just slept in the floor. My grandma was in her room. She closes the door and has a fan on. More likely, she can't really hear anything. Roger would sleep on the couch instead of sleeping in his room. For some reason, he didn't sleep on his bed. I was laying on the floor. Here's the door to walk into the bedroom, and I was laying stretched out right by the door. As soon as you open the door, I'm right here. I had my head against the wall because there was a plug-in to charge my phone. I had the door closed, and I remember I was dead asleep. I remember waking up because I heard somebody, and when I'm asleep and I hear one little sound, I'm wide awake. I heard the doorknob to the door open, wiggle and then open. I thought maybe my grandma came into the room to go get something, but it turned out it was Roger that came into the room. And he went over to the closet, opened the closet door. I had the closet light on, but I had the closet door kind of closed, but it was cracked open where you could see the light, but it wasn't bright where it was bothering me to sleep. He came into the door. I just stayed laying the way I was, and I was facing the dresser because there was a dresser right beside me, had my phone right beside me plugged in. So I stayed facing that way and laid there, pretended I was asleep because I have social anxiety. And I really didn't know Roger that well, so I just assumed that he was going to go into the closet to get more blankets or something because he was sleeping on the couch. I had the blankets kind of like over my ear. I can turn my head just a tad and kind of like see with my eyes like sideways. It's dark in the room, but you see with the light, you can't really see me like that I'm looking. His back was faced towards me. And then he walked out of the closet, went to the door, the bedroom door, went out of the bedroom, came back in, went back to the closet, and he was mumbling something. Like, I don't know what exactly he was mumbling, but then I thought, maybe he's sleepwalking. Could that be why he doesn't sleep in his bed? Because he sleepwalks? And he came up and laid down beside me. I'm laying on my side. Head is facing the dresser. My phone's right beside me. He lays down beside me. And I was like, okay, I think he is sleepwalking. He has to be sleepwalking because I kind of like just stiffened. Like, I just froze, and I just lay there and I pretended I was asleep. He takes his arm and he wraps his arm around me like to go cuddle someone. I couldn't move. It was like my whole body went into shock and I just couldn't move. He started to just move my clothes and put his hands up inside my shirt. I couldn't do anything. It was just like in that time I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't yell. I couldn't do anything because I was in shock. Like, I really don't know. There was so many thoughts going through my head. I think I was in shock that he was doing this. I should have went with my gut feeling the first time, that I had that feeling that he was just weird. He whispers in my ear, like comes up to my ear, and he says, I know you're not asleep. You're not pushing me away, so you like this. It wasn't because I liked it. It's because I couldn't move. There was so much just going through my head. I was afraid if I moved or said anything, who knows what he would do, because I knew all the things that was going on with my grandma, threatening to kill her and kill family. So I just lay there and I let it happen. He only touched me this time. At this time. He got up, he left, closed my door, and I just laid there. And I got on my phone and I texted my mom and I told her, do not let Kaylee come spend the night over here. Just don't. And I think at this time my sister was maybe 14, 15. That's the only thing I said to my mom. And I remember looking at my phone and it was 3:05 in the morning. I set my phone back down and I just lay there. I couldn't sleep anymore. I just lay there. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to do anything. And the next morning, my grandma woke me up and she was like, she always has done this ever since I was little, but she goes, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. I got up, I went into the dining room and I set out the table. He was sitting on the couch and he said he had to go somewhere, so he left. So it was just me and my grandma. I never said anything. I didn't say anything to my mom. I didn't say anything to anybody. I didn't tell anybody anything until the next day. Because after what happened the next day, he came back to the house. He asked my grandma if we wanted to go with him. I don't even remember where we was going, because I think I blocked out a lot of stuff at that time. But I remember we were in the car and he dropped my grandma off to go into the store. I stayed in the truck. He stayed in the truck. He says, I'm gonna make a deal with you. I'm gonna ask your grandma, who's her favorite grandchild? And if she says you have to let me do whatever I want. And at this time, I had my phone between my legs and I just swiped on camera and I started recording. He said, if she says you have to let me do anything I want to. And after that, I won't touch you ever again. Now, I didn't get the part where he said that if you let me do whatever you want me to. I got the part, because I started recording at the part of him stating, I won't ever touch you again. I have the video and I don't know where. Either Jen has it somewhere, I don't know. I remember I sent it to my mom. I sent it to, when I first told everybody didn't believe me. And there was a reason why I've recorded it, because this happened to me in my past when I was 11 years old, and something happened to me and I told my mom and nobody believed me. So this time I had proof that I wasn't lying, which I never was lying in the past about it either. So my grandma comes out, gets in the truck, and he looks at my grandma and he asks her, I have a question for you. And my grandma says, what's that? Who's your favorite grandchild? And she said me. I was her favorite. He goes, haha, I told you. Now you know what the deal we made. And my grandma had no idea what he was talking about. And I just sat in the back seat and I didn't say anything. I just sat there looking out the window the whole time. The thing is, I stayed another night with my grandma because I didn't know he was going to do it exactly the next night. Throughout the day, we came home. I helped my grandma set up the bed. Before we went to bed, I made sure I closed the door, the bedroom door, and there was this big, it wasn't really glass, it was more like a concrete unicorn. It was maybe this big. I picked it up and I set it against the door. So when you open, it would kind of like stop it from opening. If I know that he's going to come in, I would hear that. I had the closet door open. I'm laying there playing on my phone because I'm nervous at this time. Don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. All of a sudden I heard him opening the door. He looked at the floor. He seen that thing that I set against the door. And he was like, well, why'd you put this here? I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything at all. He comes over. He closes the door, bedroom door. I'm still laying on the bed. I turn on my side and I'm facing the opposite way to the wall where I could see everything and where he's walking, what he's doing. I had my phone in my hand still, and I was kind of just ignoring him and just scrolling on my phone. And he came down and sat down on the bed, and he was asking me all kinds of questions. I don't even remember what he was asking me because I tried to block out so much I possibly could. I just kept playing on my phone. I would answer him, but I was continuously playing on my phone. I wouldn't look at him. I wouldn't look him in the eyes. I wouldn't do anything. I would just sit there. He started getting annoyed because I wasn't paying my full attention to him. So he grabbed my phone out of my hands and tossed it on the floor. Well, I don't have my phone to ignore him with. Now that he got my phone on the floor, he gets up off the bed. He goes to the closet door. He closes the closet door, turns off the closet door light, closes the door, and he jumps up on the bed. I'm still laying on my side at this time, and I'm kind of like stiff. Like, I try to use my muscles for him not to move me, but he pushed me over onto my back, made me take my clothes off. I kept telling him no, no, no. He was hurting me. He would like grab my legs and squeezing and like, so I just did what he said. He did whatever he wanted to do to me. It was really gross. I felt disgusting. The next morning, I woke up, he's sitting on the couch, my grandma's making breakfast. I sit down at the table, act like nothing happened. That day, I was leaving. I was leaving. Packed up my stuff that I had, and I left. I ended up going to the hospital to get myself checked. I had to get a pap smear, and this was before any of my transition. I haven't transitioned at this time. So I got a pap smear to make sure that he didn't give me anything, and everything came out good. I did not have anything, which I'm so happy about. It was a couple of days after that is when I finally told everybody. My grandma and my mom didn't really believe me until I showed them the video. My grandma called him, asked him if he did that, and he said, "No, why the hell would I do that?" I wanted to call the police on him. My grandma wanted me to call the police, but then she kept telling me to report him, report him, report him. I was gonna go report him, but then my grandma called and she's like, "Oh, don't report him." Like I said, I think she was trauma bonded to him. She wanted me to report him, then she didn't. Every time they would start fighting, she would want me to go report him, and then when they're done fighting, she would be like, "Oh, don't report him." I was kind of like in a dilemma. I either report him, make my grandma upset at me, don't report him. It was just, I didn't know what to do, so I never reported him. My grandma grew up in foster homes all of her childhood. Graduated high school in 1968. She met her husband in 1969, and he was her very first boyfriend ever. They got married. They ended up having one child. They was together their whole life until her husband passed away from brain cancer. My grandma was always helping people, made sure to take care of her husband's mother. If you look closely in this picture, you will see the car that she would drive. My grandma was always going on family trips, was always very outgoing. She was a person who always kept the family close. Wherever you seen Carolyn, you would see her daughter, her grandkids, and even her husband's mother with her. My grandma was always happy, smiling, and always making jokes. Would even be goofy out in public. You would barely ever see her upset. It's crazy because we're not even close to being done with this. I'm gonna kind of backtrack on this part. I've been getting a lot of the times mixed up and everything because there's some memories when I'm talking about it, memories come in. I'm just like, oh, I need to talk about this. I need to put this in here. This is a time that we are still living in Altizer. He made my grandma sell the land up on the hill where it was supposed to be for me. And I had plans with that whole land. I was going to end up tearing down the house and clean it all up and end up building my own house, getting one of those outbuildings and just putting them all together and just build my own house. But where he made my grandma sell the land, she no longer has that land. So I don't get to have it.
I don't want to be critical, but why is there only one blue pair of shutters?
Blame Shane.
He did it. We found a path that goes from their old trailer to their grandma's. Under live video surveillance, wide angle lens, 24 hours a day. It wasn't? Remember the first time I met Prissy? We came here, and I remember we came up that really bumpy driveway and met Prissy. He was sitting right here.
Wow, I'm surprised it's still standing. Wow, my porch is still standing that we built. Holy crap. This house is where I grew up in all my life. Since I was 3 years old till I turned 18.
They end up moving into the new house, which is currently the house that my grandma is currently living in. They end up moving in there around 2019. Once he got my grandma away, where she's no longer around her family. She was in West Virginia. She had to move to Ohio. Our family, like, we live so far away. He got what he wanted. He wanted my grandma away from her family. So he got her there. That's why he chose that house where it's, you know, kind of in the country. Nobody's around. None of our family's around. There for a while, he made my grandma stop talking to us once again. We would maybe get phone calls every now and then, like we would call her, and she would just sound like she's like very tired and sick. You know, kind of just like groggy, but she would constantly have to hurry up and get off the phone. We would call, say, hello, what are you doing? And she would have to hurry up and get off the phone. Or she would just randomly hang up. Not saying anything, she would just click. It was just really hard to get a hold of her. And Roger at the time did not want any of us coming over to the house. And he threatened that if we come near the house, that he was going to shoot us or call the police and get us arrested and get us for trespassing. And also when, like, we would try to talk to her on the phone, she would also sound like she was afraid. Like, she was afraid to say anything. It was like she made it seem like that he was standing right there in front of her, listening to every conversation, because she had to put her phone on speaker, because he didn't want her speaking, you know, regular on the phone. He had to hear every conversation that was going on. And there was times that I did call her, and you can hear him talking. You can't really hear what he's saying, but you can hear him talking, but you can tell that he's right there, looking right over her shoulder. It was like she had to watch what she says. There was times that, like I said, she would randomly hang up. So I don't know if that was him taking the phone and hanging up, or it was her hanging up because he's acting, like, getting angry. Like, nobody knows. The only person that knows is my grandma. Right now, where she has this protection order, we cannot interview her. She cannot speak about him, talk about him on the internet or anything. My grandma cannot have her interview because she's on the protection order. We are only telling our story of what we know and seen, and also what my grandma has told us. And honestly, she's the only one who knows fully what has happened. And she's only gave us a little bit of pieces. She hasn't gave us the full story. I also understand, because she can be so traumatized that your brain just makes you forget things. So she's probably only telling us the things that she remembers, because your mind can be crazy. It can make you block things out. If it's traumatizing, it can just make it go away. Also, I think she's really scared of talking about it, and we have mentioned to her that she should go to therapy because of everything that's happened so far. This is not the top of the... This is the cake, there's icing, and this is not even the cherry on top. So while they were still living in the new home that they got, Roger got arrested again. He got arrested on October 20th, 2021. Everything that he got arrested for, he went straight to prison. He was sentenced to prison for 6 years. Once he got arrested and he was going straight to prison, my grandma started reaching out to us. She started calling us. She wanted us to come over. She started to become my grandma, but she wasn't fully my grandma because she has went through so much. So she's just not her. Mentally, physically, she was not her. I was so happy, our family was happy that she was starting to reach out, talk to us, wanting us to come over, wanted to spend time with us. She would tell us a little bit of things of what Roger was doing to her, and I just can't believe that she survived most of the stuff. that Roger has done to her, put her through. And I will tell you, I never seen my grandma look like this. She looked horrible. The grandma I knew before she met Roger, it was like all of that light and happiness, everything was gone. And she's just a gray ghost that is just depressed. No light, no color, no nothing. Throughout the years that she has been with him, he has threatened to kill her and threatened to kill her whole family. He would constantly put in her head that he knows this motorcycle gang called the Hells Angels, and that he knows so many of them, and that all he has to do is call one person and they will come and find everybody and just kill them. I tried to tell my grandma that he was lying, that he's not no part of no motorcycle gang. He's just saying that to try to manipulate her. But my grandma was so manipulated that she believed it. And the way he would treat her, it made her believe it. He has beat her and even pushed her off the front porch to where she fell onto the ground and she ended up breaking her shoulder. And at that time, we did have a little bit of conversations throughout those times on the phone when Roger wasn't there. The only way she could fully talk to us on a conversation, a real conversation, was when he was gone. But she told us that she tripped and fell and it broke her shoulder. And she was holding her arm in a sling. We found out the real reason was because he pushed her off the porch and broke her shoulder. He has broke her ribs. I don't know exactly how he broke her ribs, but we have took her to the doctor to get her ribs checked because she kept complaining that there was pains in her side and everything. She got x-rays and she has broke one of her ribs. She wouldn't tell us how she broke them, but after Roger went to prison, that's when she told us that Roger is the one who broke her ribs. But she never explained how. And this is the part I can't believe that she survived. He ended up drugging her with fentanyl. Drugged her with fentanyl. This whole time that we were constantly thinking that seemed like she was on drugs, doing drugs, not wanting to talk to us, and kind of being away, spacious, being angry, upset. Even though I know that probably wasn't really her, it was him telling her what to say, how to act, and finding out that he was giving her fentanyl, and he would make other men come into the house, even including women, and while she was on fentanyl and all drugged up, he would make her have sex with them. So while she was all drugged up, he was doing that. And people was paying him to go and assault my grandma sexually. How can you just love someone and watch people do that? Why would you even do anything like that to anyone that you love? It's just really hard to think about it and see it, because that might be why my grandma is so mentally messed up and physically, because of him drugging her constantly. When he got angry, if he wanted something and he didn't get his way, he would just dope her up with fentanyl. Just knowing that if he gave her the wrong amount, that he could possibly overdose her. And basically probably get by with it. He would basically probably get by with it. Because he can just say, oh, she did drugs. She liked doing drugs and she overdosed herself. While Roger was in prison, he would call my grandma non-stop. Every hour he was calling my grandma. Where she was so used to talking on the phone with speaker, she would have it on speaker and we would hear him. He would be griping, he would be yelling at her, threatening her, just constant. It was a time that she got tired of him threatening her on the phone, calling her, yelling and screaming at her. We had to end up taking her to the doctor to get checked because she started having blood pressure issues and her nerves was up, and every time that he would start yelling at her and doing all of this, her nerves would get up and her blood pressure. That's a really big issue. So she had to start taking blood pressure medication and medication to help calm herself. There was a time that she was so upset with him. She asked us if we could call the prison and report him for calling her and threatening her, because every phone call in prison is recorded. We called the prison, reported him, and he got suspended from using the phones for 3 days. Once he was back to be able to use the phones, he was right back on it. And every time my grandma would say that she's going out and going somewhere, he was just right on it, right on it. Well, why are you taking so long? It doesn't take you that long to go grocery shopping. So even when he was in prison, he was still right there. He was still controlling my grandma, no matter what. Like, it was like she couldn't get away from him. And we tried so hard to convince her and tell her that he is abusive. He is abusing you. He's mentally abusing, he's physically abusing you. This is your chance. This is your chance to get away because he is in prison. You can pack up all your stuff, find a new place, move, change your number, everything. She didn't want to, but she was so afraid that he was going to have somebody come kill everybody. We all tried to convince her that it's not true. He's just saying that. He's just saying that. He's just lying. There was also times that he would constantly be calling her, telling her to go pay all his fines, pay all his tickets off, and it wasn't his money. My grandma was using her own money. He would also want my grandma to put $500 on his books every single month, because he didn't like eating the prison food. He wanted other food. He wanted to do this and that. He wanted that money so he can constantly be calling her nonstop. And with it just being my grandma, having to pay all the bills, having to go grocery shopping, get food for herself, paying his fines, putting money on his books, she barely had money for herself. It was so hard on her and stressful. Before he went to prison, he would go blow his money because he got a social security check. He would go blow his money, and then he would go and try to get my grandma's money. Before he even went to prison, he would steal my grandma's bank card. He would got her all her information, would go into the bank, go to the ATMs, get so much money out, just stealing my grandma's money. She also told us that she wasn't allowed to eat when she wanted to. She had to be a certain time of eating. There was times that if he was angry, he would not let my grandma eat at all. And she said that when she would go to the store, she would get little things, stick it in her bag, and sneak it into her bedroom, so that way when she's staying in her bedroom, she would have little things to eat and snack on without him knowing. Before he went to prison, Roger took a lot of money. After they bought the house, Roger made my grandma go get a loan. That loan, she went and did it. She got a loan. The whole money went to him. He went to Huntington, West Virginia and bought 2 houses so he can rent them out. And when he went to prison, he made my grandma be the one to take care of everything in the house. Trying to take care of herself, taking care of everything of his that he wants to be took care of. Now having to take care of the houses that's in Huntington. It's going to drive somebody insane. Roger ended up calling my grandma one day and asked her if we wanted to move into the house and rent it out. At this time, we were living here at Jen's mom's house. Also, our friend Gabrielle was living with us. We thought about it, we talked about it. Roger's in prison. If he's in prison, my grandma would be basically the landlord. So we would have to go to my grandma instead of going to Roger. We took the house. And this is where so much more drama started, all with this big house. It was not even 2 days that we were living in that house. There was already drama. He wanted everybody's phone numbers. So we gave him Jen's phone number, we gave him my phone number, because where it's technically his house that he's renting, and my grandma is just the person who's taking care of it right now, which I never really understood that, because why does he need our phone numbers if my grandma's gonna be the one taking care of it? He got our phone numbers, and it was the worst thing to do, was give him our phone numbers. He was constantly calling us. He even called us at 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning. He started yelling at us, saying that we need to do this, we need to do that, and if we didn't do what he wanted, he would threaten to evict us. So it all started with the basement. So there was a basement, the pipes was all messed up, and we didn't know about any of this until we moved into the house. Because as far as we know, there was nothing wrong with the house. You know, everything was fixed, everything was fine. No, that was all lies. The pipes kept having sewage come up into the basement, and it would get constantly flooded. I don't see it broke anywhere.
I pushed this down, so.
Yeah, broke the seal or something.
praying that it's not gonna go down. It's backed up down there.
We were like, well, you know, we need a plumber because we don't know what to do. It has to do with the pipe, so we need a professional plumber. Because my grandma told him what was going on. He called us at 5 o'clock in the morning, yelling and screaming at us because we wanted to call a plumber, a professional plumber, to come into the house to see what the issue is and see if they could fix it. He didn't want a real plumber. He wanted to bring his friend that knows how to work on things. But he said to us, well, if you call a professional plumber to come down, then you're going to pay for all of it. If you do that, I'm just going to go and evict you. Evicting us because we wanted to call a professional plumber. That's nice. We did not call the professional plumber because we didn't want to take the chance, because what if he does evict us? We just moved in. We haven't even been in here for 2 days, and he's going to try to evict us. I went downstairs into the basement. I cleaned up everything, and it was so gross because it was all sewage, and the water came up, was this high, came up to my ankles. I got cups, and I was pouring it into a bucket, taking it upstairs, pouring it out. It was awful. We're going to try to clean all this up and lower. It's just not going fast enough. So Jen ended up getting the little lid off this drain, and it drained all the water. So we actually got it. Yeah.
Have a little bit here, you know, like splashing, but that's just because it's wet.
So we called my grandma and we told her that we're cleaning it up. She called Roger, told Roger, and Roger called us, and he says, well, I'm glad that you're cleaning up because that's what you're supposed to be doing. He had no idea what it was like to be a landlord. He wanted everybody else to fix his problems, fix any problem, and it wasn't his problem. Then it came around close to winter time. We were still living in the big house. It started getting chilly because the heaters, for some reason, the heat in the house stopped working. Didn't work. Everybody said it worked. Well, it didn't work. Roger had this friend that was a maintenance guy, and he wasn't a real maintenance guy. He was just a random guy that Roger knew. Roger wanted him to come into the house randomly. Not knocking, no nothing. He wanted us to give the key to the maintenance guy. This guy was just a random guy. No license to do anything. He was constantly coming in high. You could tell that he was high or drunk. But what he would do, Roger wanted him to come in. Her and Gabrielle was working. Jacob, which was Gabrielle's boyfriend at the time, was working as well. So it was me at the house, and I didn't really feel comfortable of being at the house alone with some random guy. Jen and Gabrielle planned a day that they were off work. So we called this maintenance guy and said, well, we're off work. You can come in and do it. He was like, okay, well, I'll be there. We'd be sitting there waiting. Nobody would show up. Nobody. Well, the next day, everybody had to go to work. He then shows up to the door. It says he's here to look at it. Why are you wanting to wait until everybody's gone to come into our house instead of coming in when everybody is there? That made it a little suspicious. I called my grandma and told her that the maintenance guy never showed up. It's not really my grandma, it's more likely my grandma's boyfriend. Grandma's boyfriend owns this house, and he's the one that's supposed to be the landlord, but he's in prison. He doesn't want us calling an actual plumber, like a real plumber, to the house. There's like so much behind the whole thing. Like there's so much more to it that I can't explain. I don't know if I would actually get in trouble for talking about it. Like you guys, if you watched my older videos, you know that there was like some issues going on between my grandma and her boyfriend, and now her boyfriend's like now in prison and everything. Like there was like a whole thing that was like going on, but I wasn't allowed to talk about it. I'm debating if I should tell you guys, like, to be able to just have like it documented just in case anything happens. My grandma's boyfriend's mom lives with my grandma, which is the little old lady that is with my grandma that has Alzheimer's. She ended up having to go call the police on her because where she's getting Alzheimer's, she wants to like hit and kick and beat and try to run out of the door. And my grandma was half blind because she got blind in one of her eyes, and she can't really see, and she's bad enough she can't even barely take care of herself, so she can't really take care of this old lady as well that's getting Alzheimer's. Every time that my grandma's boyfriend gets mad or my grandma doesn't do what he says, he always threw up at, oh, well, I'm not going to let them move into the house, or I'm not going to let them live there, and blah, blah, blah. It was what we were dealing with for, like, the whole time that we were trying to move into this house. And then when he got over his mad spell, he would apologize and say, oh, yeah, I'll let them move in, blah, blah, blah. It was just back and forth. And now, like, my grandma called the police on his mom again, and she might end up being put into a home. She's thinking that he's going to try to do something to get us out of here because he's mad. And the maintenance guy, he's supposed to be working on the back house back there. And he's been telling my grandma that he's been there working on the house when he hasn't. He hasn't been there all week. My grandma said that there was a leak down in the basement, but she didn't know what it was. Until now that we're actually living here, we know what it is. I just have to watch what I say because I don't know if I can actually say what I want right now. I really want to make a video, which I did before, but I decided not to put it in the vlog. I'm debating if I should at least talk about it, so that way if something does happen, I have everything documented. And there's a whole reason why I was filming certain things and putting in my videos so that way I can have them. We got tired of it because Roger kept calling us and threatening that he's going to evict us because we won't let the maintenance man come in and do what he wants to do. Well, he can come in and do whatever he wants to do and needs to do while we are home. He had a chance and he didn't want to. So we just like, screw it. Just let him come in. He went down to the basement, looked at it, came back up, left. That's all he did, was went and looked at it, didn't say anything to us, he just left. Turns out that he took pictures of the basement and showed what it looked like. I don't even know how they end up showing Roger. Like, I don't know if they have where you can do face call or FaceTime on that in prison, but somehow he got Roger to see the pictures. He flipped out on us. He says, you need to clean that up. You said you cleaned it up the other day. You need to clean that up. Well, we did clean it up. It keeps overflowing. It keeps just happening. And I'm not going to keep going down there to pick up random sewage. There's just so much drama going on. And now we are basically being threatened that we're going to get evicted and this and that, because if we don't do this, if we don't do that, we're going to get evicted, blah, blah, blah. There's so much going on. I'm like on a string, a little tiny string right now. I'm just so tired of the drama that if we don't do this, if we don't do that, we're going to get evicted. I'm going to evict you if you don't do this. I don't do that. Getting threats that, oh, I'm going to have somebody come break in and kill you guys, blah, blah, blah. There's just so much stuff going on. And I don't show you guys because, like, I try to bring positive energy on my videos, but this is real life. This is why I said the other day in my vlog that once the landlord is actually out of prison, that probably things are going to be so much worse. I don't know if we're going to be continue to live here or if trying to move or try to work things out here. I don't know. I don't know what's going to go on. Jen just said that she got off the phone with the maintenance guy and a three-way phone call with the landlord, which is the landlord in prison, griping at Jen, telling her that if we don't let the maintenance guy come in and do what he needs to do, that he's going to evict us. This is the thing. All Jen did, she texted him and said that he can come over Saturday, which was the whole plan. That if he comes over, if we can see his license or proof that he actually can do this stuff. Because it is actually illegal to do any type of contractor work or anything like that without a license. If he ends up doing something, somehow a pipe or something gets damaged, it's going to be on us. We are going to be the ones that has to take care of the issue. We have to pay for the damages because it's in our basement. And that's what we don't want. We don't want something that's illegal or anybody that's not licensed to be working on this stuff to make sure it's okay, that we don't have any issues, that we don't get in trouble, we don't have to pay out more outrageous money to do all kinds of things. So I really want to go sit down and just tell you guys, like, just a vent. If we get evicted, oh well. Like, what is he going to do? Get an eviction notice and tell them, oh, I'm going to evict these people because they don't want a unlicensed person do all this work inside the house and messing with plumbing, underground plumbing, all of that. We don't want an unlicensed person doing that, so I'm going to evict them. You know how stupid that's going to sound to someone, especially if you go to court. Why exactly are you evicting these people? Because they won't let my unlicensed friend come in and do all this work. He doesn't even fix anything. He literally comes in, looks at the stuff. He says, oh, I'm going to come over and look at that. Well, he comes over, looks at it, doesn't come back for another 2 weeks. Then he's like, oh, I got to come over. What does he do? He comes over, he looks at it. He looks at it and says, okay, I'll be back in a couple of days. And a whole week goes by. That's the thing. We're so tired of this maintenance guy coming in, looking at everything and saying, oh, okay, I'll go fix it. We're tired of him looking at it. Why, instead of looking at it, if you know what the freaking issue is, why not you go fix it? I'm just so annoyed about every single thing right now, especially that has to do with this whole house. The threat. I'm so tired of the threats. That's what I'm so tired of. And you're probably wondering, well, what are you talking about, like having somebody come and kill you guys? Well, he ended up calling my grandma. Well, he got mad, so he just threatened my grandma to say, oh, well, I'm going to have somebody go break in the house and kill all of them. Like, he's a landlord. He's saying that to people that is renting from him. You know, I could get him in so much trouble for that. It is landlord abuse. Plus, he's doing threats. He's threatening. And the thing is, he's calling from prison. They're supposed to record their phone calls. I literally feel like I'm in a movie. I really do. I feel like I'm in a movie. The only reason why I got this place was, one, it's gonna be rented from my grandma and her boyfriend, which right now, her boyfriend is in prison. So I was like, you know, he's gonna be in prison. He's not gonna be able to bother anyone. The one chance that we can have to get ourselves out on our own. So how it is that where he's in prison, my grandma has the power of attorney. She has control of the houses until he gets out of prison. I didn't think there'd be any issues because the last I knew, they bought the house, they fixed it up. I didn't know about any of the issues that was going on with the house because nobody told me. They started renting out the house to the last person that lived there. Everything that was happening, they did it to her. Saying that if she didn't do this, she didn't do that, that they were gonna evict her. She did not like the maintenance guy. She felt creeped out by him. She did not like that he could come into her house anytime because he had a key to her house. When she would go to work, he would actually come over and who knows what he would do while she was at work. I thought maybe where he's in prison, he can't bother nobody. He still calls my grandma every single day. If he doesn't have something his way, he threatens people, like he's been threatening to have somebody come and kill us. He's been just doing all kinds of stuff. And then when we first moved in, you guys know, I recorded everything. It was like this big pile of sewage in the basement. I didn't know that's what it was. I thought it was just a big pile of dirt or something. So it turned out that was a big pile of sewage. When we moved in, he said it was our responsibility to clean that up. Well, then he brings up the eviction card. Well, if you all don't do that, I'm gonna evict you all. I'm gonna call the health department, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, okay, I don't want to deal with any issues because we just moved in. Like, we literally just moved in. He's already trying to threaten to evict us. And my grandma told him that we cleaned it up, and he was like, good, we're supposed to. They live there. They have to clean it up. The day comes, I don't know how long we got to live in the house. I think maybe maximum of 2 months we was living in the house. A police officer showed up at our door, and he threw papers. He just tossed them into the door. He said, you have been served. We look at the papers. What do you know? We got eviction papers. The reason for us getting evicted is because we was using heaters, like box heaters, in the house. He demanded us not to use space heaters in the house. In the house, the main heating for the house was not working. We needed heat. We needed to have heat. So we got box heaters, we plugged them up. We had 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. We didn't want to park in front of the house on the road. We just didn't like parking there. So we would park out back where the little house is, and there's like a driveway that you can park. Jen would park the car there because nobody was living in the little house at this time. He put on eviction papers that we are getting evicted because we keep parking in the back driveway. We went to court. My grandma had to be the person because where he's in prison, my grandma basically did what he wanted and got us evicted. The big house was so many problems. He wouldn't allow us to have cameras around the house. He didn't want me filming in the house. We asked my grandma once he got into prison, why did she evict us? Like, why? Why make up these excuses to evict us? And she said because he kept calling and threatening that he was going to have people come into the house at night, in the middle of the night, and come and kill every one of us. And that's why she did it. When we signed the lease, we did read the lease when we signed it, but he didn't think that it really mattered because where Roger was in prison, looking back on the lease, he has the authority to come in at any time he wants, even if nobody is home. He can come in and do whatever he wants. If he wants to come in the house and go down in the basement or go into any of our bedrooms and do what he wants, he can. He said he's allowed to do that. And he said even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and everybody's asleep, he's allowed to walk into that house and do whatever he wants. Because it's his house. And that is not the rules. You can't just do that. We didn't think it really mattered because we didn't have to worry about him coming in because he's in prison. We didn't know he had this friend of the maintenance guy. And where this maintenance guy was wanting to come in and this guy would wait until everybody's gone and nobody was home to want to come into the house. And we do believe that he has came into our house before while we was gone because I ended up sending all these pictures to my grandma. And somehow my grandma sent these pictures to Roger. Went to the store, got them printed off, and smelled them to Roger in prison. It was every picture, our bedrooms, everything that we owned. He took pictures of it. Every single spot, every corner, every spot, everything. I doubt my grandma still has those pictures. I would have to honestly look on her phone. After we got evicted, Roger ended up renting it out to more people. And at this time, my grandma didn't find these people. It was the maintenance guy who found these people to rent out the place. So my grandma was, okay, we'll rent it to you. Well, guess what? They lived there for 2 months, the same amount of time as we did. They got evicted. Evicted because they would not allow the maintenance man to come in to their house without anybody being there. The same exact thing that we had issues with. My grandma wanted us to help her find a new person to rent the big house. So we posted on Marketplace that this house is for rent. This couple, they were married, they asked to look at the place. So we met up with them, my grandma was there, they looked through the house, they loved it, they wanted it. Signed a lease right there. I told my grandma that the leases that Roger made, it's not right. So she made us go to the library and print out a better lease that is acceptable. How he had it, it was horrible. Roger didn't know that these people were moving in. If the maintenance guy didn't find these people, he didn't want people moving in. Well, they were really nice, they were respectful, they were keeping the place clean. The maintenance guy went over there and they let him in. They let him go in, do what he needed to do, because they didn't know about the issues or anything of the past of what was going on with this house. Well, the maintenance guy, he went and called Roger, and he told Roger that they are a married couple, and the husband is a black man. The woman is a white female. He got so mad. He called my grandma and just was saying every single word that you could possibly thinking of and calling my grandma that and saying that you don't need to put those people in there. You need to get those people out. The only reason why he wanted them evicted was because he was a black man. He told my grandma that the lady can stay. The black man has to leave. He was very racist. He was a very racist man. I knew he was racist after knowing he had a picture of Hitler hanging on his wall. My grandma evicted him and made them leave. I don't even know what she put on the thing to get them evicted. The only thing I know is that she could have put on the eviction where parking in the back like we did. We parked in the back and that's what they were doing as well, and that could be a reason why. My grandma didn't want to evict them. She really loved these people that was renting in them, but what Roger said, it had to be done. It was so uncomfortable having to sit in that courthouse, having to evict these people, just knowing that he was evicting them because he was a black man. That's wrong. It was wrong. We told my grandma that you need to get away from him. He is going to get you in so much trouble with this house. This is the third time that somebody has moved in, and they're not even in there for 2 months, and he evicts them. You're the one taking care of the house. You're the power of attorney. Everything that happens, it's going to go all on my grandma. It's not going to go on Roger. It's going to go on my grandma. She kept saying that she was tired of dealing with the houses, just to let the maintenance man take over, let him do everything. Roger told her, no, you are going to do this. He told my grandma he didn't trust the maintenance man to take control of all that. When she told me that, I was just like, you don't trust this man, but you trusted him to come into our homes while we wasn't home? What? He was always contradicting himself and gaslighting people that it made him look dumb. But we tried convincing her to get out of there. We tried. The 4 years, she didn't want to get away. She was so trauma bonded to him that no matter what we said, it didn't matter. For her to want to get away, she had to want to get away. Jeez. We're officially in the up-to-date. Also, I apologize if you hear Jen in the background. She's gaming and it's too windy outside, plus it was raining, so I have to be inside. So the last things that you guys knew was about how Roger ended up going to prison because of the whole drugs and fentanyl and all that. Once he was in prison, my grandma told us everything that he has done. Well, not everything, but some things that he has done. Well, here it comes to the current date. After those couple of years trying to get my grandma to get away from him, to move, everything, because he hasn't changed. And he had it so convinced in her head that he has changed, even though he hasn't. He was a very narcissistic person. He would start love bombing my grandma, being like, oh, I've changed, I'm sorry for doing this, I'm sorry for doing that, when he can only wear that mask for so long and then the mask slips. And it's all back in that cycle. It's just a constant routine of love bombing, disrespecting, abusing, and then back to love bombing. It's just a complete cycle. Roger ended up getting out of prison December 1st, 2025. When he first got out of prison, the very first thing that he did, got rid of my grandma's cat. As you guys know, my grandma had Benny.
What, Benny? What? What you doing? Huh? What? What is it, Benny? What? Oh, look at this stretch.
She absolutely loved that cat. My mom took Benny and got him fixed, because where he was a male, he wouldn't go and spray everything. We don't know what exactly he did to Benny. We honestly feel like that he dropped him off somewhere, but we also think that maybe he hurt Benny, because I've posted his pictures everywhere on all kinds of missing pet groups, all through Huntington, Chesapeake, South Point, all of those areas. Nobody has seen this cat or found him. So I honestly feel like that he's actually done something to Benny. And it hurts really bad, because Benny loves my grandma. It breaks my heart. It makes me so angry knowing that he did something to Benny. Benny and the dog, Benji, was best friends. They got along, as you guys seen, they always played together.
Get him. Get him, Benny. Get the doggy.
It's awful. I'm just want to keep in my mind that maybe he did drop Benny off and somebody found him and took him in and he's in a really good home. While Roger was out of prison and with my grandma, it was like the same old thing started happening. Her not being able to call us when we would call her. It was kind of like a hi-bye type situation. Or if he was around, she'd be like, I can't talk. We kind of just figured, okay, well, he's out of prison, might as well get used to not talking to my grandma. And that's the reason why in my Christmas video, and I didn't film Thanksgiving, but I am going to film Christmas. It's kind of an important time. I'm hoping that my grandma does end up going because she usually goes every Christmas, but we don't know what's going to go on. I really wanted my grandma to come to Christmas. She's always came for Christmas every single year, and this is the first year we went a Christmas without my grandma, and Thanksgiving. This is the first time we ever went without my grandma on the holidays. That's the reason why I said in my video that I really wish she would come, because this is probably going to be the last time I ever get to see my grandma, because we really thought he was going to end up killing her or doing something to her. The thing is, we wasn't wrong. Eventually she did start to call us a lot more, but when she would call us, she would only call us when Roger wasn't home. If Roger was home, she couldn't call us. Now, if we called her and she answered and Roger was home, she kind of would just be like, yeah, I'm okay, and this and that, telling what she did, and then she would have to hang up. Every now and then I would hear him in the background griping, like sound like he was yelling, but I couldn't really understand what he was saying because honestly, he sounded like blah, 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 blah. He really sounded like that. So him yelling and his words like going together, you couldn't understand what he was saying. Once my grandma started calling us a lot more when Roger wasn't home, she started to tell us that Roger's acting up again, Roger's yelling at her, and she was constantly telling us that she wants to move, that she wants out, she wants to move. So we started looking for places for her, looking around, trying to find apartments, and she was trying to look for places without him knowing, because if you've ever been in an abusive relationship, you know what's going to happen if the person finds out that you're going to try to leave. So we try to keep it on the low. There was just times that she would be, oh, it's okay, you know, he stopped acting up, he just didn't take his medication this time. It just kept being like that. It was constant like, I want to move, I don't want to move, he's okay, oh, he's fighting. It was constantly just this and that, this and that, this and that. Once again, a whole cycle. There for a while, when she was telling us on and off of when her and Roger was fighting, when Roger would leave, she actually made us have a code word. And the code word was, do you like cinnamon? And if she said, do you like cinnamon, meant that she can't talk. So when she would say that, it means she couldn't talk. We'd automatically end the call. Now there was one time that he was gone, she ended up calling me, and she didn't know that he just pulled into the driveway. She was in the middle of conversation talking to me, and I heard him in the background, and all of a sudden she just clicked, hung up. I was like, that's really suspicious. That's something's going on, because he said something and she hung up. Something was telling me something was wrong. I asked Jen, I was like, do you care if we just drive over to my grandma's to make sure she's okay? I tried calling her because where she did hang up on me, she was in the middle of a sentence and she automatically hung up. So I don't know if it was her hanging up or if he came and took the phone and hung up. Nobody knows. Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Nothing right now. Why?
I was just asking.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's calmed down. He learned his lesson. 'Cause he knows everything that we did. 'Cause he went yesterday and done everything. I can't talk. He's coming.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Something was telling me, you know, I need to go over and check on my grandma. So we drove over there. The door was closed. I went to the door the first time and nobody answered. So we went back out because we didn't have phone service where my grandma is. So we went back out, called my grandma. She answered, but she sounded like she was just like really, really tired. So we were kind of like, oh, she was just talking just fine when she was on the phone with me, and now she sounds like she's really tired. The car was there, they were there, so we went back. I started walking to go up to the door and make sure she was okay. She did answer the door, but when she would answer the door, he was directly right behind her. So I know she couldn't say anything. She said, yeah, I'm okay. Like, she physically said she was okay. She looked okay. She didn't have no bruises. She didn't have anything. She looked like she was tired. I was like, okay, as long as I seen you, I seen that you're okay, it's okay. But when we left, something was telling me to record the car, the license plate number, the car, everything. When we were leaving to go out, I made sure to have my phone and I was recording everything. While we were turning, he was standing at the door watching us to make sure we left. When we got past the porch, he comes out of the door, goes out and flips us off.
Just seeing, making a recording of. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. He's just sitting there staring.
That's fine.
What's his problem? Well, now he goes. We were like, okay, so that just shows. Like, F you for trying to come and check on your grandma. So we ended up going to the end of the road and we sat there because we were trying to make sure he didn't get in his car and try to follow us. Well, he didn't end up following us, so we still sat there around in a big lot area. And my grandma ended up calling me. I didn't get to answer because I had my phone on silent, but she left a voicemail and it says, "Why did you record? You don't need to be doing that." Which I know that my grandma knows I record everything. And I know that Roger does not like to be recorded or filming or anything, so I know that Roger is the one who told my grandma to say that. My grandma ended up calling again, but she called Jen's phone this time. We answered. I made sure to record the phone call.
Yeah. Okay, I'm all right.
All right, well, tell him it's none of his business. He got a problem with me. He can talk to me himself if he got a problem. You want me to come back?
Don't put lust with me. I'm on probation. That's why you didn't get spanked physically. You keep on playing, and I will spank you. I don't give a fuck about jail.
Oh,
Keep on fucking with me.
is that a threat?
That's a promise.
I got you on recording, by the way, and I'm calling your parole officer.
Take that recording and shove it up your goddamn troublemaking ass.
Oh, I'm a troublemaker, yet you beat on Grams?
I beat on you. What day did I ever beat on you?
When you threw the bologna and squished her hand and took the Raid bottle and threw out all the Raid because she saw a goddamn roach? Think I'm playing? I'm taking this recording to your parole officer. You want to threaten me?
He went in the other room.
Good. Grams, I'm telling you, I know you don't feel good, but you need to go to the walk-in and you need to fill out this protection order. One or the fucking two. I don't trust that you don't feel good and you don't want to do this. Like, no, I don't trust it. And then he wants to be like, oh, why is she filming the house? I have a right to record if I'm going to be protected. I have a right to protect you. What? And now he wants to threaten me?
Today.
What is it?
I said I don't feel like it today.
Well, yeah, but look at him. Look how he's acting, Grams. He just threatened me.
No, I'm not. Not anymore.
You're not what?
Afraid.
Well, that's the worst thing that you could honestly say right now is that you're not afraid, because you should be afraid of him.
Yeah.
Because he broke your arm, he broke your shoulder. We got told that you fell and you let her slip yesterday, that he's the reason you broke your shoulder.
Yeah.
And then we find out that he's the reason because he gave you fentanyl and then he broke your shoulder.
Yeah.
You need to be scared for your life, Grams. I'm not telling you what to feel, but you were just asking yesterday to contact his parole officer. You were just asking yesterday for a fucking protection order. And now you're not scared? That's the word. That makes me even more scared for you.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Follow a protection order and get him the fuck out.
Said to quit filming because he's going to go down and get a protection order.
He has no proof for a protection order from me. And I'm allowed to film.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to call you back later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Well, he ended up threatening Jen and saying, oh, I should have hit you when I did, blah, blah, blah. And I think I got these times mixed up. Throughout the days, my grandma kept continuing to call us and tell us when Roger's acting up, that he's yelling and cussing at her and just the same old things. We were like, well, if you end up needing us, we will come over. And she said, okay, it's fine right now, but I just kept telling her, if you need anything, make sure to call us. Now I have to take a drink for this because pink lemonade, 0 sugar. It was maybe a couple weeks later. She ended up calling us and she said, guess what Roger just did? And I said, what? What'd he do? I heard a lady in the background. I didn't recognize the voice, so I don't know who it was. She said that they were at the courthouse. Roger did something trying to make her sign something that she didn't want to sign, and he took the papers, and I think he was going to try to forge her signature on something. She said she took a walk around the whole courthouse just because she was mad. Well, when she came back, his car was gone. She looked everywhere for him. She even went back in the courthouse and asked them, where'd he go? They said he took the papers and left. I don't know if he forged my grandma's name on something. I don't know. I told her, so he left you in Huntington? He left my grandma in Huntington. Just left. But this is the thing. He never came back. He never came back to pick up my grandma. He made my grandma walk across the Chesapeake Bridge to get to her house. It was cold outside to the point that you had to have like a hoodie and gloves on. It was pretty cold. And she said this lady stopped on the bridge and picked her up and was taking her home. And that's when she was talking to me in the car. And I said, well, why didn't you call us when before you started walking across the bridge? And she said where her phone is all cracked and she can't really see on her screen, she couldn't call us. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. I told Jen, we need to go. We got in the car, we drove over there. We pulled up in the driveway, and Roger was there. But he was getting ready to drive out. All of a sudden, he backs up, and he gets out of the car, and he's like, why are you coming up in the driveway like that? I was so mad at him. I was so mad. I wish I was filming it, but I didn't. I got up in his face, and I was like, why the fuck did you do this to my grandma? Why did you just leave her and make her walk across the bridge? And he was like, I didn't do anything. I was yelling at this dude. Like, I was yelling. I was all up in his face, yelling at him. I wish he would have laid his hands on me, because the one time, I just would love to got a hold of him. I didn't touch him. The only thing I did was yelled at him. I called him all kinds of names. He ended up calling the police, and when he called the police, he told the police that me and Jen hit him and that we were threatening him, and it was all lies. And even my grandma told the police we never touched him. That was the most I've ever got so angry, and I don't think my grandma's ever seen me angry like that. Jen had to hold me back. I wasn't going to hit him, but Jen stepped in front of me to split us because I was just so close in his face. Like, I was this close. I was so angry. The police end up showing up. We're outside. He's inside the house. And when the police get there, he comes out on the porch and he tries to tell my grandma to come into the house so he can talk to the police with her. The police officer told my grandma, no, you don't need to go inside the house. Roger was wanting my grandma to go inside the house so he can manipulate her to what to say to the police. My grandma told the police everything. She even said that she wanted him to go back to prison and that she was tired of everything. And the police said the only thing that she can do is go get a protection order. Where he didn't touch her or anything, they really can't do anything. And the same day, we ended up taking my grandma down to the courthouse to try to get a domestic violence against him. And we got the papers. She wanted to go back home. She took the papers home. Roger was still at the house, and we told her she ended up needing something, just call us. If he starts acting up or does anything, just call the police on him. One day, Roger was gone, and she ended up calling me, and she was talking to me and telling me all kinds of things of what was going on. This was 2 days later of this happening, of me yelling at him. But my grandma told me that Roger's trying to go to the courthouse to get a thing against me and Jen, so we're not allowed to come to the house. My grandma said no, that's not going to happen because he's allowed to have people come over. My grandma should be able to have people come over if she wants to. I don't think he ever did it. Plus, I think he would have some kind of proof of why he needs it. But my grandma ended up calling us. She said Roger left to go to this one place that's over in Huntington, which he's not supposed to be out of state. And Huntington is West Virginia. He's in Ohio. He's on parole. So he left to go to Huntington over to this coffee place. And my grandma told us that she's been so upset with Roger because they went to go see his mom. His mom is in this elderly home and she's not doing very well. He went there and he was getting angry at all the nurses. I don't know if they're doctors, nurses. I think they're nurses. He was getting angry at them because his mom wasn't eating solid food. She had to eat soft food like mashed potatoes or peas. She has really bad dementia. She forgot how to swallow, so she has to use like soft food. My grandma said when they got back in the car that he was griping at the people. He told my grandma while they was in the car that he's going to end up getting a gun and going in there and shooting every one of them. All because he's mad that they're feeding his mom soft foods. And I told my grandma she needs to call and report that and tell them that building, because that is a safety thing. Like, that's him threatening to go in and shoot people. Like, you need to report that. She never did do it. I think she was afraid because of what would happen. I can't believe that he said that. Like, and the thing is, I would believe that he did it. I would believe that he would do it. If he had a gun, I would believe that he would go in there and shoot every one of them. This was maybe a week after the whole incident with shooting with the gun issue. My grandma called me and said that Roger was punching things, slamming doors, calling her every name that he could possibly. And she told me this story. It was kind of funny. He kept aggravating my grandma. She stays in her room, and his room's all the way over here, so he would continuously come into her room yelling at her and trying to get her to talk or something. She looked at him and she said, "I don't want to talk to you." And he said, "Why not?" My grandma said that she said, "I don't have to because I'm a bitch." And when my grandma said that, I just instantly started laughing because oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. And the thing is, the way she said it, because where he constantly was calling her names and everything. So, and she said that his mouth like went. Another 2 weeks go by. It's kind of good, you know, my grandma's still calling me, telling me, you know, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this. My grandma called us. She was on the phone and she says really quietly, "Roger's having a fit and he threatened to me." And that's how she said it. She went instead of saying it out loud. I don't know why she said it like that, but I was just like, well, if he's threatening that, just call the police. Just hang up with me and call the police. She said, "Okay, I'll do that." She hung up the phone. It was maybe 5 minutes later. She ended up calling me and she was crying, and she just said that he threw her across the room onto the bed and he put his hands on her. He was going to kill her. I told Jen, we need to go. We need to go. So Jen gets on the phone. She's calling the police to get the police to go there. I told Jen, I was just like, oh my gosh, if he best not be there when I get there, because oh my god, because everything that my grandma just told us, like, he's not gonna. I'm so angry, like, but thankfully he was not there when we got there. The police officer was there before we got there. Roger ended up leaving. He ran away. There's a cop.
He's not here.
I gave you the license plate number if they need it. She's my grandma. We're the ones who called.
It's grandma. Are you okay?
Stand by. I'm inside. Yeah,
You need an ambulance. You need to go get checked. So you don't know. I don't know what he's done, but you need to go get checked. That way you have more proof that he's actually physically assaulted you. Do you guys need his license plate number since he ran?
So he was actually going to our office to tell us what's going on. So
Oh, okay.
I've got a couple deputies en route there to arrest him when he gets there.
Good, good, good. I hope y'all bury his ass.
It's been going on for 4 years.
Really?
Well, even when he's in prison, he was still calling her, threatening to kill her whole family, everything. So she, she was scared. But now, once that he got out and parole, he always, he would do things and he would not let her call the police, take her phone, everything. And we would try to help her. But he always manipulates, oh, this is what this happened.
That's why he's running down there to be like, I'm the victim, I'm the victim.
It's always
Help,
him
I'm
being
the
a
victim. Her compared to him,
It's your grandmother.
it's his.
You just,
You want to step aside with me?
yeah. Benji. Yeah, Benji's not in here, so he must have Benji. I looked everywhere that he could possibly hide.
He wouldn't hide. Benji!
He must have him because I looked everywhere.
Well, the officer said as soon as he gets down to the Ironton, he's going to jail, so. Do you want to go to the walk-in?
I think you should go get checked because that gives more report and everything. Because if he did that before,
If he went outside, where would he go? Benji, are you out here? The thing that's happened is that Roger beat my grandma and he ran off. So we had to call the police. Like I said, there's so much going on, which I'm going to tell you guys what's happened. We don't know if he took Benji or what. Benji, are you out here? But he is not in the house. He's not out here, so we think he took Benji. I ended up giving the police his picture of what his car looks like, his license plate number, and they were all searching around for him. They couldn't find him. Basically, he was running from the police. I went in where my grandma was. The police officer had her. He was filling out this paper of everything that happened. The police officer asked me to come out and talk to him. So I went outside. He was asking me things like if Roger and my grandma has been in a relationship together, if they're just roommates. And I said they was in a relationship together when about 3 or 4 years ago. But I don't think they are now. Since he's got out of prison, I don't think they are a couple. I think they're just living together. He was asking me how long has this been going on, and I said this has been going on for a really long time, but I think this is the worst that it's happened because everything that he has done to my grandma in this moment. He said my grandma mentioned that there was another incident a week ago, and I said yeah, there was an incident where he ended up leaving my grandma over in Huntington, made her walk across the bridge in the cold. He ended up calling the police because I was yelling at him. He told my grandma when we left that he was afraid of us, that he wanted us to not be around because he was going to get us trespassed. And I honestly feel like that's the reason why he left when he did all of this. He knew that my grandma was going to call us, and he knew that we were going to show up, and I think that's the reason why he left, because after that time that I went off on him, I think I scared him, because he ended up instantly just called the police. He talks all big and bad, like, I'm going to get a motorcycle gang, blah, blah, blah. If I was going to threaten him, it wasn't going to be a threat. It was going to be a promise. My grandma filled out a thing, and we went back to the courthouse that same day. Okay, going back a little bit, the first time that we were supposed to get a domestic violence on him, the next day we were supposed to go pick up my grandma and we were going to go somewhere and fill it out. Well, we went to go to her house to fill it out and she said she didn't want to go.
I'm okay.
Do you want to go to the walk-in?
No.
So what's going on? Like, what are you sick?
Just sick.
I'm still gonna go and do the stuff.
I just don't feel like going with you today.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to see physically if that you were okay.
Okay. I'm fine.
Okay.
Are you sure you don't want to go to the doctor?
No. Thank you anyways.
She was in her pajamas and Roger, standing right there behind her, was listening to everything again, and she said, just don't feel good and I feel sick. She looked awful. So I honestly feel like that he'd done something to her, either gave her her medicine, who knows what he could have done. That time, she did not get that filled out. But this time,
He'll get arrested.
I don't see him out here, so he must have him.
Benji! Hey, Benji! Benji! Last time I seen him, he was on the porch. He says, let's cool down a little minute. Let's cool down. I said, get away from me. I don't want you to touch me.
They should get him on leaving the scene, too. Leaving the scene of a...
They might, but we need to fill out the paperwork.
Did you say that you wanted to press charges?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what that is. That's why
Okay.
he's getting arrested. But we need to fill this protection order out before he gets out of jail. So hopefully, when I'm going to take her down here.
Took $10 out of my pocketbook the other day, and I didn't know it. And then he comes back and he says, well, here's 20. He said, I borrowed $10 out of your pocketbook.
Wow.
But I'm going to give you 20.
They shouldn't. They probably just take you in there, check, and make sure he didn't
hurt you or anything. Well, they'll check it and make sure. You might have to go over here, Mom. Over through here.
Yes, this is the other one.
I heard that there was some, is there some police over there right now? I heard that there was some.
Alright, we come over here to the desk. I had a brain. We go to the desk right here.
Hi, do you need me seen today?
Yeah, she just got out of a physical altercation with her
Can I
boyfriend.
have your date of birth
May the 11th, 1950.
and your last name? Okay, what are you experiencing right now? Are you
My
having
shoulder,
pain?
yeah. My
Your
shoulder.
right shoulder?
Yeah,
Is that the only place that's hurting or anything?
yeah.
Okay.
Just my shoulder and back.
And she's actually hurt this shoulder before, so
Okay. I'm gonna have you sign this consent to be treated, okay?
it's like
Large
those
white
things
box.
that you just write with your name. Yeah.
And then repeat your name to me again. Tell your date of birth.
May the 11th, 1950.
Okay, thank you. If you want to have a seat, they'll call you back just as quick as they can, okay?
Okay.
Oh, you want to take her now? Okay. She's gonna have you come on back. Sometimes these are easy. Sometimes they are not. There we go.
They
Okay,
just said
come on around to the side.
Are you allergic to any medication?
No.
And you're having right shoulder pain?
Yeah.
What, did you injure it somehow? Or what?
she had an altercation, physical altercation with her boyfriend.
And did you make a police report?
Yes, we
They
did.
did.
They told us to come here to get her checked and everything.
Go ahead and take his jacket off.
Just the right shoulder.
Yeah.
She's had it broke before because he's done it before,
Oh
so.
man.
But she didn't get to report it the last time. This time, she was actually able to.
Anything else hurt?
No, just my shoulder and
Right here?
through here. Back in through here.
Did he pull you or hit you?
Yeah.
Or- Okay.
Yeah, he knocked me down 3 times.
Did you hit your head?
On the bed. He threw me on the bed.
And he hit your head on the bed?
Does your head hurt or anything?
No, my head hadn't hurt.
Are you on a blood thinner?
Yeah,
What are you on?
I don't know.
We should probably get a look at your head and neck then, right?
Yeah, I would, just in case.
X-ray the shoulder. We'll just do chest X-ray and hips to make sure there's nothing going on there.
Yeah, I would do
Can you
that.
figure out what blood thinner we're on?
Do you remember what letter it started with or anything?
No, I
Would it
don't.
be called Eliquis, Coumadin, Plavix?
Is any of that?
I don't-
Plavix?
Would Mom know?
Does that be for high blood pressure?
No, it's a blood thinner. She
Oh,
takes.
no.
She doesn't take a blood thinner,
No.
Danielle. Underneath your tongue for me. What would you rate your pain, 0 to 10 on a pain scale?
Probably about a 9.
Do you drink alcohol?
Never.
Use any recreational drugs?
Never.
Feel safe in your home as far as you all the time? Or
Well, 2 weeks ago, I went to Huntington with him, and he took off, left me in Huntington, and I walked across the bridge.
does he live with you?
Yeah,
Hello?
Is it your home or your
at
own?
both.
Hello?
What did he leave you for?
Huh?
What was his reason for leaving you? What did he say?
There was a house that he put in my name so he could get Social Security. Well, he wants it back, and I told him I don't want to talk about the house.
That's the where you're living at?
Yeah, no, that was the one in Huntington. What was it? Nobody.
It sounded like Roger on the phone, but it was talking in the background, but I hung up. So I don't know.
What
Like,
existing medical conditions do you have?
I have high blood pressure and depression.
So what existing medical conditions do you have? Do you have like diabetes,
No,
high blood pressure,
I take a little pill. Yeah,
high cholesterol,
no,
any cardiac history,
no,
renal failure, seizures, strokes?
no.
Blood pressure is your only medical condition?
they are now taking my grandma down to CAT scan to check her shoulder, I believe. She said, like, 1 through 10, her pain was a 9, so
She's really stiff too.
yeah. She's broke it before because of him, so she might have done either sprained it or broke it again. She filled out the protection order. I don't see Benji outside. Yep, he's here. Is that him? Mm-hmm. He has a coffee on the... I couldn't tell if he was... I think he's sitting in the car, isn't he?
Probably. I'm calling him.
Was he in the car?
I think so. There was a coffee sitting outside on the...
Hi, I need a sheriff over here, 143 South Point, Ohio. I need Lawrence County, Ohio.
They've been looking for
My grandmother's I'm trying to drop my grandmother home, and she just had a domestic dispute earlier. Roger Burris was supposed to come down and make a complaint or a report or whatever, and they were supposed to arrest him because my grandmother is pressing charges against him for assaulting her, and he's at the house now, and I can't drop her off. And they were supposed to arrest him earlier today, but they couldn't find him.
Okay, what was his name?
Roger Burris. At least the car is here, and we don't know if he's sitting in the car or not, because we don't want her to go in. But before I even go in or anything, because he doesn't like me either, I need someone here, because she got us pizza and everything, and we were going to sit and eat with her and everything.
Okay, what is your name?
My name is Jennifer Stewart.
She filled it out. She filed it.
In Judge Fielding's courtroom, which is courtroom number 2, and all of that is on.
And we had a court date to go and see if the judge will grant an emergency protection order. We went to court the first day to see if it was granted for the protection order. Coming outside, I'm gonna feed the chickens because I see a little bit the chickens out here. Just letting you guys know that Roger did get arrested. His coffee cup was sitting right there because he got arrested right here. Fortunately, he wasn't here when he got arrested, but y'all want some? The judge automatically, he read what happened. I'll give you an emergency protection order. She got approved for it. He could not be able to go around my grandma, talk to my grandma, do anything, or he would violate the protection order. Well, that day that he got arrested, he got put in jail, and he tried calling my grandma. He tried calling her 6 times. We called the police station, told them what was going on, and they already knew who we were talking about, because I think that he was aggravating them about calling, and who he was calling, he was not supposed to be calling. He got grounded for talking on the phones for a while. So the same day that this happened, my grandma, while we were sitting in the house eating pizza, my grandma told us everything that happened. Roger locked her in her room, slammed the door where the door went inward too far. He fixed the door and told my grandma that she will never get out of here alive. She tried calling 911, but Roger took the phone from her. She ran out of her room, ran to the front door to leave, but Roger came up and wrapped his arms around her, picked her up and tossed her to the side, and told her, "I told you, you are not getting out alive." And my grandma ran into his room, grabbed his phone to call 911, but he came in, grabbed his phone from her, grabbed her and threw her on the bed, which landed her on her hurt shoulder that was broken before. She got up, ran into the kitchen, tried climbing out the window, and he grabbed her, knocked her down off the counter, and then he left. She ran over to the neighbor's house for help. He was going to kill her. He had 2 more weeks left on parole, and he had and was planning my grandma's murder.
Hi, Mr. Roger Burris. All right, Mr. Burris, can you hear me? Mr. Burris, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right, this is State of Ohio, this is Roger Burris. We had Mr. Burris out yesterday for an arraignment, and he was given a $2,000 OR bond. However, I believe he has a holder from parole. Mr. Burris indicated yesterday that Mr. was likely to be representing him. However, Mr. not presented himself here today. Mr. Burris, I'm going to appoint you an attorney. I'm going to appoint you an attorney to represent you. If you end up hiring Mr. I'm going to go ahead and appoint Mr. to represent you.
What's the charge, Your Honor?
Is an M2 domestic violence, and it looks like the alleged victim is here in the courtroom as well.
How long has he been in jail?
I'm guessing March 23rd, because that looks like the date of the offense, so I think he was picked up.
Your Honor, since it's just an M2, I asked that he be allowed to sign his own bond.
We already gave him an OR bond. He's being held on a parole holder.
Parole holder, okay.
Did you go get a protection order, civil protection order? That's good. Well, Your Honor, we need a protection order in this case if it hasn't been ordered.
It has been ordered, Mr. Gill.
And we're going to ask for a $2,500 cash or surety bond.
We've already given him an OR bond. He's being held on a parole holder.
Okay. There's a protection order in place, so obviously that would necessitate that he stay away from Ms. Midkiff.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
He had mentioned yesterday something about trying to get his truck back, but I don't know that that's going to, I think that may be a little academic at this point, depending on what's happening with.
Yeah, my car.
With parole. I'll give you an opportunity to address that. We got the victim, alleged victim here, as to whether or not something to be worked out that he can send someone or.
Well, parole doesn't sound like it's going to lift their holders, so are you going to send somebody to get your truck? Is that what you're going to do?
It's a BMW.
Or a BMW? Are you going to send somebody to get it?
I have no one, but Carolyn's the only person I have. I don't have no family. I don't have no one.
Well,
I'm going to get it myself if I can get it out.
Okay, parole has a holder, he's not getting out.
Well,
So.
at this point, Mr. Burris, you've got a parole holder, so unless parole lifts your holder, you're not able to get out. As we discussed yesterday, you cannot have any contact or go to that property.
But if I can prove that this is not right, then
I'm going to go ahead and stop you, Mr. Burris. We went through this.
Yeah.
We went through this yesterday.
Yeah.
You have every right to fight the charges. You have an attorney, and he'll help you do those things. And if that's the case, then there will be no temporary protection order. That will end out of this court. Now, whether there's something somewhere else or not, I can't speak to. Presently, that's where we're at. You would come back.
Let's go ahead and set this next Friday if we can. Sounds like something that we need to resolve.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, I would like to do something. If you get a hold of a couple of places, then you know, I think this can be resolved. I don't want no problems with nobody. I never have. I just want to get off my probation 2 weeks and leave and go back to West Virginia. I've told her that over and over. I don't want to stay there. I don't know what's the problem, why she did this. I just don't know.
All right, well, we're going to have you back next Friday, April the 3rd at 10 a.m. for a pre-trial.
Okay.
State of Ohio.
All right, this is State of Ohio versus.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Dickens is presently a Zoom is attorney is here. OR bond to be released for treatment. But apparently that hasn't.
I can update you, Judge. He has a common pleas order for probation violation. He was appointed common pleas court, so I no longer represent.
Roger Burris.
Roger Burris.
Your Honor, I believe this was the case where we had first to that. Mr. Hickson said he was representing him. You appointed me and then this showed up.
Okay. Well, I think this is probably why I was out of town.
Oh, it must be Mr.
Well, I'll text him. You can put him back in the holding cell, so we can't do anything without your lawyer. This is the case. We thought Ken Hicks was going to enter an appearance, but apparently he's not. So Mr. back on. I'm a little confused about why he's still in custody, because I have. Oh, okay.
So, Your Honor, I've made an attempt to contact his parole officer and haven't gotten an answer back, but apparently he's aware of what's going on here today. This is charged as he's got a prior conviction for domestic violence, and a decision was made within our office to treat this as a threat. So ordinarily it would be an M4, but because he had a prior, it elevates it to an M2. However, I'm not convinced that it's not a felony because I've talked to Ms. Midkiff today and gotten some more details that weren't in the police report. And so we may decide to do that, but we also may decide to leave it here, but we're not ready to make that decision today. And also, since there's a parole holder, we need to find out what the parole authority plans to do, and also the degree to which this charge is the basis of the parole holder, or if they've got other reasons. So I think Mr. Stratton is okay with moving this case to Monday.
Yes. We'll just recall it for Monday. Okay, so I'll reschedule it. The OR bond will stay in effect, but he's being held in jail because of the parole authority, not because of this court's order. That's probably going to stay in effect over the weekend, I would think. So yes. April the 6th will be the next hearing, which is Monday, 10 o'clock for a pre-trial.
Yeah, can I ask, when did I ever have one of these? They said I've got a prior thing. I've never been convicted of a prior thing, but I know.
Well, you can have that discussion back there with your lawyer, not out here in front of everybody else.
State of Ohio versus 24, 1966. AP to Z, CRB 24, 613A. CRB.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Collins recognizes the fact that he's left on Thursday. Apologize for that. We would like to go back to treatment. We did have one assessed by hometown, which of course allowed him to go back to hometown.
This was a couple of days later. We went over to my grandma's house, spending some time with her, and all of a sudden this car pulls up. And I was outside, I was feeding the chickens. This car pulls up, and this guy gets out, and I go into the house, and I'm like, there's some random guy here. We were thinking that maybe it was somebody that Roger sent to us. So we all go outside, and it turns out it's Roger's parole officer. He tells my grandma that he needs my grandma to come in and do a video statement of everything that he did. And if she don't, he has to let him go. He's on parole hold, and they can only hold him on parole hold for so many days. Because if she did, his parole officer can put Roger in prison for 210 days.
Okay, I mean, he's in jail, but okay. Yeah.
Would you be able to come into the office tomorrow and give a statement?
She has court with him. It would be 8 a.m.
That's fine.
They don't start till 10.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I just need to get a statement from her for our side of the house, so I can try and get us some prison time. But I gotta have a statement. I can't. You know where our office is located at?
It's in the one building where that restaurant is.
Yeah, City Center. Yeah, we're on the same side as the restaurant. We're actually getting a statement. That way I can get it processed.
How long he's gonna get, or
the max I can get him is going to be 9 months, but that's going to be entirely up to the hearing officer. This is his first offense, so 9 months is doubtful.
Yeah.
180 days maybe.
Yeah, anything, honestly, enough time to get her out of here.
When we have the hearing, what will happen is I'll set it for a hearing after he gets sick, and I'll set it for 5 days later. We'll have the hearing, but I'll need her to appear to testify. video hearing, he won't actually be there. He'll be on the screen. And they'll just ask you questions about what happened.
Where my grandma has pressed charges, that's not even counting what he possibly might get. Nobody knows what he's going to get right now until we go to grand jury.
State of Ohio versus Roger Burris case. Your Honor, this was set for pre-trial today, but he has been picked up by the adult parole authority on a parole violation and he's on his way to prison.
This was your case?
Yes. Yes, the state indicated, I'm not sure what the state's going to do exactly on this case, whether they're going to ask for a warrant or dismiss it.
Domestic, yeah, it is a domestic violence.
In a closer reading of the affidavit by the officer, by the narrative statement, it is indicated that it sounded mostly like threats and pushing around and no injury, but in speaking with the alleged victim, she says she went to the hospital emergency room with neck injury. It does lend itself to the potential of this being a felony because of the prior. And so I wanted to so we're going to nollie this to the grand jury.
The case would be, he's in custody anyway, be nollied to the grand jury, and then they can decide if they want to up the ante there and charge him with a felony rather than a misdemeanor.
State of Ohio versus case number CRT.
Okay.
It's Mr. Stratton's case.
And at this moment, it is tomorrow that we go to the grand jury. He'll have 210 days in prison, and then whatever he gets on this will be added to his sentence. Right now, with just him having 210 days, he'll be getting out in October. Orange County Government Office Building. Court, we went to the grand jury. They took my grandma back, asked my grandma a bunch of questions. They said that we'll have to come to another court date to see if that's when they'll actually charge him. If there's enough evidence to charge him for what he did to my grandma. We thought that was going to be the last court date, but turned out it's not the last court date. Hoping that this next one is the last one. We follow this page on Facebook. They end up posting this whole post, and it says that they are going to charge him for F4. But it says that they are going to charge him, but my grandma just hasn't got the court date yet. Once we get that court date, we will know exactly how much is he going to get. Honestly, right now, it's just a whole nother waiting game. When Roger got arrested, my grandma was wanting to know what he used this check on. He ended up getting this check, and it was for $3,000. And that money was supposed to go on the house to fix the roof. None of that money went to that roof. Somehow Roger got it cashed and he spent every penny of it. And my grandma doesn't even know what he spent it on. So what we did is we went through his room, going through papers, receipts, to figure out what he could possibly spent $4,000 on. And my grandma did mention that he gambles a lot. Basically, probably most of that money went to gambling. What's crazy is what we found in his room. When we walked in, there was this big picture on the wall of a big Nazi sign. It's just crazy to see someone actually supporting stuff like this. We went on the other side of his wall, there was this picture, and it was of a naked woman. But we looked at it, and it does not look like a grown woman. It looks like a teenager that's maybe like 16, 17 years old, because they look really young. Like, you could tell by their skin, you could tell by their hands. But he kept telling my grandma that that was his ex-wife. And even if it was his ex-wife, why do you have a naked picture hanging up on your wall if you're supposed to be with my grandma? But I honestly don't believe that was his ex-wife, unless he was actually with a really young girl. I was going to show a picture, but I really honestly did not want to have that on my phone at all. I'm just saying it was really weird. So we went through all his papers, we went through everything, could not find anything that he spent money on, but we did find some papers that had his email, passwords to all his social medias. He ended up getting on there, so maybe, you know, if he has an Amazon account, maybe we could see if he ordered stuff or bought things on his Google account. Once I seen everything, I hurried up and logged out of his Gmail because what we seen that he was searching on the internet it's wild. I will post some pictures, but I'm gonna edit out the words. One of the things that he was searching was really disgusting because along with what he was searching, we end up finding pictures. It was hidden in this book. Every one of them was a child, maybe 5 to 7 years old, out in the swimming pool, bathing suits and stuff. And after seeing what he was searching on Google is really alarming, knowing that he had random pictures, exactly the same thing that he was looking up on the internet. And now knowing everything that he was searching for, this man was not just a predator to women, he's a predator to women, older women, young women, kids, even little boys. He also had a big picture of Donald Trump inside of his dresser. I'm surprised he didn't have that hanging up either. He supports the Nazi, he supports Trump. He also is into being a pedophile. And this is the most disturbing thing that we found out about him. Well, it's not really the most disturbing thing. My grandma was telling us some things that he said, and one day he asked her, "How do you feel about men having sex with their daughters?" My grandma said, "No, that's not right." He said, "Why not?" Like, and the thing is, he does have a daughter. He does have a daughter. And if he thinks like that, I can't even imagine what he's done to his child. I can't even imagine what he's done to other women, other children that he was around, especially all those kids that he has pictures of in his photo album. We also seen that he was searching a bunch of porn, and on his Facebook, end up getting into his Facebook, he was talking to a bunch of women behind my grandma's back. He was even posting on public posts and talking sexual to women. But this is the thing, he didn't know that these women that he was supposedly talking to are all bots. And we also found a website that he was going on and paying these women to talk to him, which are bots. He was buying bots to talk to him. There's one thing that where that check of money went, and also, as my grandma said, he was gambling. Going through his stuff in his room, we end up finding this. As you see, it's a back scratcher, but on it says, "Do not touch Carolyn," and on the back, "or else." I hate to know what he was doing with this to my grandma, especially him saying, "Do not touch," or else. I haven't really asked my grandma about it. We end up bringing it here because if this was something that he used on her, this could be very traumatizing, especially looking at it. When he gets out of prison, whatever, how long he has to be in prison, if you or your parents, grandma, sisters, brothers are on any dating social media, Facebook, Meet Me, Plenty of Fish, Instagram, Snapchat, if you end up coming across this man named Roger Burris, please block him, report him. Do not let him talk to anybody in your family. He is not a very good person. He's very dangerous. And at this time, we found out he is a predator to every single person. I'm mostly making this whole documentary because I want to warn people of people can be the sweetest person on earth and then switch up. But I just want to tell and let everyone know that if anybody is talking to Roger Burris, just block him. Don't let him come into your family. Don't let him start talking to your grandma, to your mom, to your little sisters, to your little brothers, your big sister, big brother, nobody. This is a very dangerous man. He's not the person for anybody. The way he has done my grandma, the women that he's done this in the past, he's been married 7 times. 2 of his wives are deceased. I couldn't really find any information online about that. I think my grandma is the first one to step up and actually press charges on him. He's possibly got away with doing this to women a lot and doing things to children, doing things to women. Like, it's just, he's got by with it for so long that my grandma was that one person that was strong enough to set those charges and get him what he deserves. And please listen to me, everyone. If you see this man, see him on social media, see him trying to talk to anybody in your family or friends, make them block him.